All right, today we're jumping into something really fascinating, a dark, twisted version of a famous philosophical story. Forget climbing up into the light, this is all about a choice, a deliberate journey down into the shadows of the psyche. Okay, let's get right into it. The story kicks off not with some prophet praising the sun, but with a soothsayer talking to the moon. And listen to what he's saying. He's not seeing it as a source of power or inspiration. Nope, he calls it the twilight giver, this cold, uncaring witness whose only real job is to shine a light on failure, on the people who are just done. So we're dealing with a prophet of dusk. And what that really means is this whole story is a direct flip, a total inversion of Nietzsche's famous Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Where Zarathustra comes down from a sunny mountain to give humanity the fire of self-overcoming. Well, our guy, the soothsayer, he's doing the opposite. He's crawling out of a damp, dark valley to spread the good word of just being tired. And you can see the contrast laid out so clearly here. Everything that represents power and striving in Nietzsche's original story, you've got the sun, the mountain, the fire, this whole idea of climbing up, it's all turned on its head. It becomes the moon, the valley, ash, and descent. We're not just talking about a physical trip downhill. This is a journey deep into our own psychological shadows.
All right, so with that setup, the soothsayer starts his journey down, and his mission, it's not about bringing some great enlightenment. It's to hand out what he calls his gray truth.
He talks about being overfull, but it's not with wisdom or some profound insight. He's overfull of emptiness. It's like this hollow feeling has become a heavy weight. And his whole goal is to share that feeling, to give people this sense of finality. The relief that comes when you just stop trying to have a purpose. And this is absolutely key. His journey down, what he calls his undergoing, it's not an accident. It's a choice. He isn't failing or giving up in a weak way. He's actively, consciously embracing the end. He wants to become a shadow, just like the moon that disappears when the sun comes up. So as he's making his way down, he doesn't run into some happy, singing saint in the woods like Zarathustra did. No, he meets a woodcutter. And this guy is the living, breathing example of the very philosophy the soothsayer is about to preach. The story calls this feeling the long tiredness, and it's really important to get this. It isn't just being sad or depressed. It's something deeper, a kind of spiritual exhaustion that gets right into your bones. It's that state where all the whys, why am I doing this? They've all just withered away. Even a simple act like chopping down a tree feels monumental, not because it's physically hard, but because the reason to even bother has just vanished.
And the woodcutter's reaction just hits the nail on the head. The soothsayer's gray truth isn't some aggressive, shocking thing. For people who are already bone-tired from life, it's a welcome relief. It's like getting a permission slip that says, hey, you can stop now. It's okay.
Okay, so this whole philosophy of exhaustion, it's not just a vague feeling. It actually has a structure, and it's a fascinating one. It's a journey in reverse, a complete flip of Nietzsche's three famous metamorphoses of the spirit. So, you know how Nietzsche's spirit goes from the camel who carries burdens, to the lion who says no, to the child who is this creative force? Well, here, the tired spirit goes backwards. It starts at the top, with creative potential, and descends all the way to a final crushing weight. The whole downward spiral begins with the stillborn child. Now for Nietzsche, the child is this symbol of a holy yes, this pure creative energy. But in this version, that innocence turns into pure cynicism. The self-propelling wheel of creation just stops, because it has the sudden realization that it's not rolling toward anything meaningful. It's just rolling. Next up, the caged lion. The lion's big rebellion against all the rules, the big "thou shalt," doesn't lead to some amazing freedom. Instead, it opens the door to a terrifying emptiness. Once you've screamed no at everything, and there are no new values to create, well, that freedom becomes its own kind of cage, a weightless void. And it all ends with the broken camel. The spirit just collapses. It's not carrying noble burdens to get stronger anymore. Now, it's just carrying the dead weight of its own emptiness. The question changes from what is heavy to what is easiest. And right there, that's the birth of what Nietzsche feared most. The last man. The person who only wants comfort, who has completely lost the will to strive for anything more.
There's this idea of the parable of the gray mirror, which just captures this so well. It basically says, hey, you can climb as high as you want, you can overcome everything, but when you get to the top and look out, You just see that the horizon is a circle. You realize every step you took to get somewhere was just another step towards your own grave. It's a devastating thought.
So what does a whole world built on this philosophy look like? A world without a why? Well, the source material gives us a couple of really chilling glimpses.
Imagine a version of hell, but there's no fire, no screaming, it's just absolute stillness. In this story, Satan isn't a tormentor. He's more like a tired king sitting on a throne of cold ash, just watching over a complete void, where the struggle is finally, blessedly over.
And what about art in this world? It changes completely. It's no longer meant to inspire you or challenge you. The whole point of a play or a story becomes to act like a warm bath, something to make you comfortably numb. The goal is to drown the why before it can even take a breath.
And this line just sums it all up, from a character who is basically Mephistopheles. What's the mission? Simple. Turn Nietzsche's will to power into the will to nap. The ultimate temptation isn't riches or fame. It's convincing the last person who's still trying that the greatest pleasure of all is to just give up.
Okay, so this all leads to the grand finale. The soothsayer's journey comes to an end. He gets to the city, and he's ready to deliver his final sermon.
And the audience he finds? They're already there. They're already on his wavelength. The people in this city, the sleeping well, they're described as being like pillars of salt, just standing there watching the stars go out. They're not living, they're just waiting. They're the perfect audience for his message.
His message, when he finally gives it, is so simple but so powerful. He just says, I teach you the last man. He tells them, look, that whole tightrope you're supposed to walk between being an animal and a Superman, it doesn't lead anywhere. So why even try? Why leap? Why dance? Instead, he says, be like the moon, cold, finished, just reflecting a light that isn't yours. And the crowd, they don't cheer, they don't argue, they just nod, they accept it.
And that's where the story leaves us, with this really unsettling question to chew on. Is this total end of striving, this great cosmic giving up, is that a terrible curse? Or just maybe, is it a kind of peace? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.